So with that being said, let's get to it. Shit. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekheads? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today it is a brand spanking new Q&A video. Thank you to everyone that submitted your questions. We're going to have a good nag today, have a good chat. But before we get to any of that, I just want to give a very massive and special shout out to my buddy Dennis Baptiste. Now, he actually made these two Joker prints that you see behind me, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. Dennis does some crazy ass work, man. The guy does it all by hand, by pencil. Certain celebrities have actually seen his art and recognized his art, including David Harbour, Ron Perlman, Josh Brolin, and very recently, Nikki Letterman. Now, for those who aren't familiar with that name, this is the woman that applied Joaquin Phoenix's Joker makeup throughout the entire shoot of Joker. Dennis sent her one of these very same prints here, and here she is with it all framed in its glory. So damn cool, man. Thank you for these amazing prints. I love the simplicity and the rawness of them. And it's that time of year. It's 32 degrees today, and it's hot. So I've got all the questions ready to go on my phone. So with that being said, let's get to it. Shit. Our first question comes from Christian Stein. Would you ever consider doing a Joaquin Phoenix Joker cosplay? I think it would still be awesome. Absolutely. I'd be so keen to give the makeup a crack as well as a suit. I'd probably have to wear a wig now. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to give it a go. I actually want to know the makeup that they use. I would love to know the brand that they use. It just sits so well on his face, and it just rests really well against his skin. It doesn't look too caked up like typical clown makeup. If I get tissue on my face, can you let me know? Our second question is from Dr. Iron Bat Prime 2.0. Have you ever thought of doing or plan to do a fan film on any of your cosplays? I've done it, it's super fun, and I think you do a perfect job at it. This is a very good question. Yes, 2 cosplays. 1, Casey Jones. 2, Pirate Batman. So for those who are wondering, the Casey Jones short film is eventually going to happen, even though this time I probably will have to wear a wig. It's one of those things where things get delayed, and when we're ready and when the timing is right, Rui and I are going to pounce on it and do it. But Rui and I also want to do a Pirate Batman short that includes Pirate Nightwing that Rui has cosplayed as in the past. I think it can be so much fun exploring the whole mythology of Pirate Batman as well as Casey Jones. And from the script that we have so far for Casey Jones, it's going to be a good throwback to the original. It's going to be dark and gritty, just like the original comics. Just like the original movies should have been. The first one was perfect. 2 and 3 just got too soft because apparently all the parents complained back in the early 90s about the violence. I'm sorry, but if you're going to have the words Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you're going to have some violence. Our second question comes from Agent Gain. Hey Chris, was wondering whether you had any embarrassing cosplay moments that you can look back on now and laugh. Me and my friends do it a lot about each other. Most embarrassing thing was when I was doing, I think it was version 2 of one of the first Batsuits I had. It was the one where it was the hybrid sonar, Kilmer cowl, and the bodysuit minus the muscle suit. And the video is still on my YouTube channel. I was doing MacArthur Ladies Night. It was like a charity event, dressing up as Batman. I was going to be there on the pink carpet instead of the red carpet and get photos with all the ladies and all the guests coming through before they go on through to the main hall/auditorium. Now, this is at a time where the stuff I was using for the Panda Eyes ran until, years later where I found some really good stuff that sticks there like shit to a blanket. And it was really hot, like hotter than it is today. And my eye makeup ran, came down to the mouth opening and went under my nose and created this big black handlebar moustache. So in the end, I pretty much look like Senor Batman. Our next question comes from Matthew McGovern. What would you like to see with Robert Pattinson's Batsuit? I would definitely love to see an evolutionary thing, even if it's in one film, in the Batman. I want to see a suit that's crude and crudely constructed and put together, and he's still trying to tinker with stuff and figure stuff out, or him and Alfred for that matter. Because from what I understand, the Batman takes place where it's in the 90s and Bruce has been Batman for 1 or 2 years now, so he's still trying to find his footing and figure his stuff out, and also figure the tech of the suit out. So I want to see something There could be a throwback to Arkham Origins, where in that game he hasn't been Batman for very long. He's still very young. He's in his prime. He's in his 20s. And he's still trying to figure stuff out. And the suit does look quite, not raw, but you definitely see the padding going on the pants. And it's very arcadic compared to what he has now. Either way, I would also love to see really pointed ears, like the devil. Our next question comes from Konrad Fuchs. Have you ever thought of coming to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle? If it's a con in the States, I'm there. I don't care where it is. America's my second home, pretty much. Seattle's actually a bucket list place I want to go to because I'm a massive Frasier fan, and for those that are familiar with Frasier, you know, Seattle is the main city that Dr. Frasier Crane moves to in the show, and his brother Niles is there, and his dad Marty, and Roz, and Daphne. So I would love to go to Seattle. I want to go to the Space Needle, and it just looks like a beautiful city. So yes. Our next question comes from NerfThis89. Would you ever consider doing a video series on a full-on brand new Freddy cosplay? People often ask why I haven't done a proper Freddy cosplay yet, and that is because I'm still on the hunt for pieces that really resonate with me, that make me think this is going to be a beautiful piece once it's all put together. I'm very particular about, the sweater, hat, and the mask. I'd be using a silicone mask, one of those ones, like my Hellboy one that you pull over and it snaps onto your face, and essentially it's like 4 hours of prosthetics in one mask that is a pulls over your head. In terms of the glove, I've got that sorted, because my original prop building endeavor was building Freddy gloves, so I do know them back to front, whether I do a part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I do like the design of Freddy and Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but I don't know, it's just too clean? At the end of the day, I love part 1 and part 2. Part 1 because it's so hidden in the shadows and it's the OG. Part 2 because it just looks so scary and terrifying. And like Kevin Yeager said, who did Robert's makeup from part 2 onwards, he wanted to make him look like a male witch with the hook nose and his eyes sunken back into the skull, and you can see the temples of the skull as well. So to answer your question, one day I would love to do a video or a video series on the breakdown, the construction, and putting together a Freddy cosplay. Our next question comes from Sean Brown. What are your thoughts on Captain Boomerang's new attire in the recent Suicide Squad set pictures? I haven't spoken about it yet. I've seen all the set photos from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and to be honest, I'm pretty underwhelmed with how Cap's looking. He doesn't have that spark, or the costume itself doesn't have that spark that the first one did in the first Suicide Squad. It was just so raw and gritty, and now it just looks very monotone, matte and flat, and just dull. There are some parts of the costume where it hones back to the comics and it looks a lot more faithful to the comics than his iteration in the first Suicide Squad. He's got the bandolier with the boomerangs on it. That is from the comic book. So obviously I haven't seen it in action. I haven't seen a trailer yet. All we see is dicky little set photos taken on someone's phone. So for the time being, I'm holding judgment, but at the same time, it doesn't really do anything for me. I'm all about the OG. Woo! Our next question is from AJ Gilley. Hey man, just wondering if you'll ever go west to Perth Supernova. Been watching you for a while, not to be creepy, and would love the chance to meet you in person. Keep up the awesome cosplaying, man, for all our sakes. Firstly, thank you very much, man. Secondly, I have always wanted to cross Perth off the bucket list in terms of traveling around Australia. One of my dearest friends is stationed over there in the Navy, so it's another reason to go there, to visit him and go to a con over there, and it just looks like a very chill place. I think the island's called Rottnest Island, where you just ride bikes around there. There's no cars or anything on the island, it's just bikes, and it seems like a very pretty place. So yeah, I'd be down to do a supernova in Perth for sure. Our next question comes from Sporadicanesic. Oh, I butchered that. What cosplay would you like to revisit and update? And what character do you really want to have a crack at trying for the first time? I'll answer the question in reverse. What I want to try having a crack at for the first time is the Joker, but a cosplay Chris version of the Joker. So there's just going to be shoe polish and just driveway dirt all over that makeup. In terms of a cosplay I want to revisit, Edward Scissorhands. And I actually haven't really gone all out with finalizing my Scissorhands cosplay, but I came up with this thought the other day and this concept the other day. Do you guys remember in the flashback scene in Edward Scissorhands where his inventor, played by Vincent Price, is reading to him and Edward's on the table and his legs still have to be attached, and during the panning shot you see these big stacks of paper that have the blueprints of when Edward started out as a chopping robot to how he is in the film, with organs being added to finally becoming a man. What if Edward is 90% complete? He has short hair, eyebrows, still has the pale complexion with the scars, except he still has his scissor hands. So he's nearly finished, except his hands are still obviously scissors. And with that, I love this kind of Victorian goth-looking jacket and the cravat with a nice red diamond, just as if he's going to a party while he's learning manners and to become a man and everything, and finally being complete by his inventor. So that is something that's actually happening at the moment. I want to have that done the next couple of months, and as you can see right here, I've got my old Scissorhand props out of storage, and I'm, restoring them and going over them and just making sure they're all going to work again, and fine-tuning some stuff for a bit more efficiency when wearing them. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. That's another cosplay on the cards, or in this case, a revisited cosplay. Next question comes from the Rift Effect. When it comes to doing castings and molding, are you self-taught or did you take classes? Was it a lot of trial and error? Love your work, learning a lot from you. First off, man, thank you so much for the kind words. In terms of learning the ropes of molding and casting, it was all self-taught, or in some cases, what we're doing right now on the YouTubes. There are heaps of tutorials out there. There aren't a lot of classes in Sydney that specialize in this type of stuff. There are, but they can be very costly, and sometimes they can be a waste of time. You either have it or you don't. You're either keen enough or you're not keen at all. So I really think it comes down to your drive at the end of the day and how much you're willing to learn and put aside to invest into learning the ropes of this stuff. And it is addictive. And I will never stop learning. The best special effects artists in the world will never stop learning. Whether it's your Odd Studios or your ADIs, they are always, breaking the mold, so to speak, and pushing the envelope with technologies in silicon and urethanes and prosthetics, and just making them look ridiculously real. And that is because of people that just continuously learn this stuff. And I have gone through so many wasted materials, but it's trial and error. And the way I see it, and I always say, if you're not failing, you're not doing it right. Our next question comes from Alex Green. As I'm finding it hard to lose weight, what was your process to get into shape? Oh, look, I did have a process back in the day, man, and it wasn't very efficient. I was severely under my caloric intake, like dangerously under my caloric intake. You should be in that area where you are in a caloric deficit, but it's not too drastic. And also my diet was just the boringest thing in the world, and that was just insanity. It just sent me insane. I was cranky, but now I've learned flexible dieting because of my good friend John Dixon, who owns Booty and Buff. Now and then you guys will see me wearing the black singlet with the green B&B. That's John's company, Booty and Buff. At the end of the day, it's all about what works for you, man. You really have to dive in with diet and exercise. And when it comes to plateauing, that means you have to change up your diet and you have to shock your body in the gym as well. It might mean your body might be getting too used to training or cardio, and you've really got to step it up, like high interval training and stuff like that. Our next question comes from Ultra Tiny Gamer. Hi Chris, love your work, dude. Question, if you were to make a cosplay of any monster, what would it be? Hands down, OG Predator, for sure. I love that design of the Predator from the first film with Arnie and Carl Weathers. Don't get me wrong, there are heaps of other Predator designs that are badass, whether it be from AVP or the new Predator film, but when it comes down to it, you can't go past the original. So that is one monster costume I would love to do one day for a cosplay, but my God, it would be expensive. Those Predator suits and, alien xenomorph suits are so expensive to either buy as a whole or make. There's just so much shit involved. There's so much. Like there's a lot of engineering that's going on under that costume too to make it move perfectly. And there are some Predator outfits out there that are just amazing. Like they've literally just stepped off the soundstage. Our next question comes from a very dear friend of mine, Georgia Rose. She is an amazing cosplayer who is actually based up in Brisbane. You guys should definitely check out her work if you haven't already. What's your next big goal, and have you ever considered competing in cosplay comps? My next big goal / chapter in life is to get my working visa and work in the States, or most notably LA. That's where I just want to be. Whenever I'm in LA, I'm in my element, and I've just accomplished so much stuff whilst being in LA, and I just feel like, as much as I love Australia, the States / LA is definitely the place to be. It's just getting that work visa. The visa I want to apply for, you need a sponsor, and because of the current administration, it's a bit trickier these days, which it's just one of those things. In terms of entering a cosplay competition, I've always thought about it, but I just get lazy and I never, fill out the registration form, and I don't know, I just go to cons to have fun and see my friends and take mental notes from costumes that I see and take ideas. And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. That's ingenious. I can apply that to an upcoming cosplay. And to me, it's just a big reunion and just to see my friends. Comps are amazing for big builds. Like Miles and I were kicking ourselves that we didn't enter Whiplash last year. But if anything, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because there's still a lot we want to do with Whiplash and add on to Whiplash and perfect the makeup and stuff like that. So Whiplash isn't gone forever. It's just one of those things where we put it away for a while, and when we're both ready and have some free time together, we're going to come back to it and add some stuff to it and just make it like the 2.0 that we want. Our next question is one I probably should have answered a long time ago, and I've teased everyone with not answering it, is from Joel D. Are we ever going to get to see Bucky / Winter Soldier? So, let me set the record straight. No. You will never see a Bucky / Winter Soldier cosplay from me. If you're wondering why, whenever I do or come up with a cosplay or a character that I want to cosplay as, I have to have that connection with them. I have to not really relate to them, but I just have to dig everything about them, the personality, the costume, the design aspect, all of that. And I never really related or just dug Bucky at all. And there are so many other amazing Bucky cosplayers out there that it'd just be useless if I gave it a crack. And, the hair's gone now, even though I could wig it up. It still just wouldn't be right for me to do it because I just can't relate or just dig the character at all. And it's no disrespect towards Sebastian Stan. He's a phenomenal actor. I just don't identify with Bucky, so that's why it'll never happen. And I hope that answers everyone's question. Our next question comes from another good friend of mine, T-Gun. He has a channel on here, T-Gun's Customs. You should definitely go check him out. He does some amazing figures and statues, custom work, stuff like that, and also cosplay work. Other than Batfleck, is there any other live action or game Batsuit you would like to cosplay? Live action or game, I would actually love to give the Panther suit. So in other words, Val Kilmer's Batman Forever suit a go, whether it be the original Nips and all, or the Sonar suit. In terms of the game, I would love to have a crack at the Arkham Knight suit. That thing is just a thing of beauty with all the moving chest plates and the cowl, and it's just the most badass looking high-tech Batsuit. If we want to add a comic book Batman into that, I would love to give the Earth 1 Batman a crack. I've always loved that storyline and graphic novel, and the suit is just so awesome. Actually, honing back to the question about what would you like to see with Robert Pattinson's Batsuit, the Earth 1 look. I love that because he's still fresh as Batman, and the suit is quite, not amateurish, but it needs a lot of work. I'd love to see Pattinson in the Earth 1 Batsuit for sure. Our next question comes from Mr. Derek Brown. What's your favorite horror film other than A Nightmare on Elm Street? I've got two. It's the first Exorcist and the first Paranormal Activity. And I know they're just so far apart on the horror spectrum. I love the first Paranormal Activity for the simplicity of it. I love the in-camera effects that they use. It's just the most simple concept, and it worked. Like, I actually saw the film for the first time on a first date. I screamed more than my date. Now, for The Exorcist, I only watched it for the first time a couple of years ago, and I loved it. Again, it was just so simple and ahead of its time when it came out, and it's like The Shining. The atmosphere just leaves you feeling dreadful and horrible, and the way the scenes are filmed and everything's photographed, it's just so well done. And the demon Pazuzu just terrified me. It was just really creepy when they'd insert little, flickers of Pazuzu's face in the film. Very effective. Our next question comes from Gavin Yoda. what do you use in your hair? Not much anymore, clearly. In terms of now, just Pantene shampoo and conditioner, and then I'll just get like a spray just to keep it to the side. When I did get my hair cut the other day, Juanita, my amazing hairdresser who did the chop on the ponytail, said you actually have to retrain your hair to go this way now because it was so used to being pulled back and going backwards when it was in a ponytail. So every time I get out of the shower, straight away, as soon as I dry it, I've got to keep moving the hair this way so it learns to fall this way now that it's shorter. Next question is from Oznad. Dude, what are you up to outside of Cosplay Chris and YouTube? And how's the training going at the minute? Summer shred time. Gotta get a shred, gotta get nice and tanned. So in terms of what I do outside of YouTube and cosplay, stuff like that, just hang out with mates, catch up with my mates, we'll go mountain bike riding. I train, 6 to 7 times a week, and that's not necessarily in the gym. I'll go for a run. If I'm not working on Etsy orders, I'll be training or, helping out around the house. In terms of training's going great. Still doing my leg day, pull day, and push day, off day, and then repeat. In terms of diet, I just wing it. I'm not as strict anymore because once you get into your 30s, you learn just to have that extra piece of cake or, that fourth burger in one sitting. It's not going to hurt you. If you're keeping active and you're keeping fit, it's not going to hurt you. People who live on steamed broccoli and chicken and have a ripped six-pack all year round, I don't know how you do it. It just seems like a miserable existence. Our last question, and it's a doozy, comes from Noah Graff. In what ways have comics or in general music, film, etc. shaped your perception of life? Were there any especially important stories that had a drastic impact? In general, what kind of philosophical questions are you often presented with in life, be it existential or whatnot? Wow. I definitely think the last couple of years I've learned a lot about myself, and I hate using that term, find myself. I'm going to Nepal to find myself and live with the ancient Shipibo tribe. None of that bullshit, but in the last couple of years, I definitely have learned about myself with the people I've hung out with, the people that I've been with in relationships and stuff like that, and it's definitely changed my perception of what I want in life and where I want to be in life. Film is my jam. Film gets me pumping. Film obviously has inspired me to go out and do something. It's because of a film is where I am today. It's just the fascination of the behind the scenes and also in front of the camera has just been a massive life-changing thing, and I owe it all to being a movie buff and interested in how things are made and how costumes are made and props are made. So yeah, man, I definitely think film has had the biggest impact ever. Actually, the last 1 or 2 years have definitely changed my outlook on life, and I'm all the better for it. I'm just loving life at the moment. It's a good day to have a pulse. And with that being said, geeks and geekettes, that was the final question for this Q&A video. Guys, thank you so much for submitting your questions. I love doing these videos. Like I said, I just feel it's a lot more personal and it just seems more one-on-one, even though I can't see you. I just feel like we're just all chilling, having a nag. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. I hope you're digging this little setup. I know I definitely am. The only thing missing is a big giant ass air conditioning unit right there. Regardless of that, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.